When those we love the most criticize us the worst, it can feel like the deepest ache. It can feel like our whole being is a mistake. And we can toughen up and tell ourselves we can take it. But that doesn't make it any easier to deal with. Because thought is like video, and it records tones and sounds, and it plays them back and adds images as well. So even the toughest person replays the messages. And lots of bitterness forms when people decide to ignore them. And little by little, these messages build up, and people get harder because they're gonna be tough and not show that the most devastating stuff is not being dealt with. It's just being pushed aside and ignored as muck. And these kinds of minds can bomb through life and achieve much success that many esteem high. So on the surface, that person's got it going on. And maybe they're surrounded by other like minds that sing that same song. We are so unique, each one of us. And we don't yet have a culture that values each one. So the direction towards success that most say is a must only works for a certain few who can do their lives that way and such. Going back to the sting and the ache of the criticism. Here's what's helped me time and again. I'm going to just cut to the chase in this poem. The one that criticizes you the deepest is usually speaking out of love, but motivated in fear. And they're going to call it love, and they're going to say it's in your best interest. But they're only looking at you through the frame of their own lens. And their lens, their view, is how they believe life should look. And maybe that view works for them. But if you try to frame your now inside that lens, if you try to shape your life in all the ways they say is right, you may well earn the thumbs up from those who've criticized the most. But inside, in your heart, you may well feel invisible, like a ghost, because We're not meant to be robotic. We're not meant to be shadow. We're not meant to follow what another believes is the way right life should go. We're not. And sometimes it feels so safe because they did it that way. And sometimes it feels comforting because they're giving us the thumbs up finally. But we all have to roll up our sleeves and be so deeply honest. And the path that works for some is not going to be the path that works for our unique precious. Doesn't mean it's a wrong path. It doesn't mean you waste any time if you go down it. But you gotta look at your motive. And it takes utter honesty to ask, whew, am I still trying to get thumbs up from them? From him? From her? I used to think if I pleased them, not only would they give me thumbs up, but they'd kind of let me in. And what does in mean? Not look at me with such disapproval. Not look at me with disappointment. Not look or treat me like I'm some fool. In meant acceptance. Thumbs up meant, whew, I'm approved. Well done meant, good job, girl. You're doing this thing called womanhood. Except walk down that path a year or 2 or 10. And the funny thing is about those who are used to criticizing, they find something else wrong again and again. And some of us may feel like, but they said to go that way. And others of us may feel like, ooh, I gotta try harder to get their thumbs up for what I'm striving to do each day. And still others of us try to, really show who we are. And if they'd only see our heart, they wouldn't have so much fear. My heart to yours. Approval comes from within. And here's the awesome. We each already have it. An acceptance and fitting in and being included. I'm still not sure it's all that it's cracked up to be. But I don't know that I've ever fit in. So, recently I was reminded of a deep, deep, deep pain that happened when someone I deeply loved tore me to shreds. And what ended up helping me heal that ache was halting everything in my being that wanted to conform to what they were saying was how to do life and not be a mistake. I halted that pull to conform to that way. But I did something more. I realized the criticism was that dear one's best sense of love that day. And sure, it hurt for a while. And time again, it's like that voice has a way of echoing. But each time it comes, even if the criticism was a while ago, it's so cut me to the core that I have to work on it in my thought. the deepest criticism comes out of fear. And when it's from someone who claims to love you, it's even more important that you hold yourself dear. We can justify stuff and say, well, it was meant out of love, but that never makes it right to condemn someone's womanhood. So I've said a lot in this spontaneous poem here. The main message, I think, most of all, is the need to hold ourselves dear. We're already approved. We already are so loved. We already have everything we need to be of value. And as you know this, as you step in it, as you live it, as you walk it, as you embody it, as you exude it, it sort of, busts through the years of the thoughts from the opponent. But the opponent is never a person, and that would take me lots of years to learn. And that's worth another poeming, so I'll sort of land this plane here. The harshest criticism, when it's from a loved one, is their sense of fear being imposed upon. So it's hard, and it echoes, and it's loud, and it'll tear you apart in ways, but get into that thought of yours and see what was motivating them that day. And then know you are hearing exactly what you need to hear. You are fully about your precious being who is so loved and needed and so dear. My heart to yours. I'm Tree. Sometimes I spontaneously poem. Sometimes it works. I hope you've heard some meaning in this today. If you're hurting in any way, if someone, a loved one, has condemned you to the core and you just can't get the words gone out of your heart and soul, and if you keep stewing on it again and again, there's a way to break out of that cycle of thinking. And I'd welcome the opportunity to work with you and talk you through it in a phone call or two. Or several. Seriously, my heart to yours. We're okay. You can be free of that echoing sting. Big love to you wherever this finds you.